All around Florida, it's a common sight. People daily with their faces buried in a phone driving 2-ton bullets. So it should have come as no surprise to me when last month a young man who was texting while driving plowed into the back of my car while I was waiting at a stoplight. This was the result. Now, I can't tell you everything that happened that night because my baby's car seat slammed so violently into the back of my head, it knocked me out, gave me a severe concussion, and 10 staples in my scalp for my troubles. The car totaled. In the emergency room that evening, the OPD officer told me the driver admitted he was texting while driving. So days later, it came as a real shock when I received the police report and saw not only did the other driver not receive a ticket, but the officer didn't even note in the report the young man was texting. This is the reality of cars and cell phones in our state. Some Floridians think texting while driving is just no big deal. And because of the way our laws are written, police officers are almost powerless to stop it. If you're caught glancing at your phone in a hands-free state like, say, Utah, you could be fined up to $750. If you get into an accident in Utah while texting, a driver faces up to 15 years in prison and up to 10 grand in fines. But what about Florida? Because of our state and the way it treats as a secondary offense, a police officer can only write a ticket for texting while driving if a driver is pulled over for another reason entirely. But when police do cite drivers for texting behind the wheel, how much does it cost? Well, in Florida, a first offense earns you a fine of $30. And that's what happened to me. Even though the officer told me the young man admitted he was texting while driving, the officer didn't see him doing it, and the texting was left out of the report. Here's how absurd it is. It is possible a driver could literally text a selfie to an officer while driving, and because that officer did not witness the violation, you might not even get a ticket. Here at News 6, we pride ourselves on getting results. And over the next legislative session, we're going to be doing just that. It will be our mission to help drive change in Florida's impotent texting laws. And no, it's not because I got hurt. Lots of people are getting hurt. The reason I'm doing this is because of what's normally in my back seat. These 3 beautiful girls are usually crammed back there. And last month, if the situation were a bit different, they could have buried their dad. And to me, that is simply unacceptable. I'm going to blink, and they will be driving around these same Florida roads with these same dangerous laws unless we do something about it. But to enact change, I will need your help. And I don't want you to help because of me or even because of them. Help because of the little ones in your backseat. If you or your family have been impacted by texting and driving, tell us about it on Facebook. Maybe we can use your story to drive change. And if we collectively make it our mission, our duty to effect change, together, we will get results.
I was shrimping. I moved from the west end of the bridge, more up towards the middle. I was talking to one of the regular shrimpers, and next thing I knew, they were asking me at 4 a.m. if I knew where I was. I guess I got spit out from under the truck. Both of us did, and thrown into the wall. Got set on fire, thrown into the concrete wall.
Jeff Van Reenen and 24-year-old Garrett Vaccaro were both run over by a distracted driver who looked down at his phone to check a text message. A third man, 25-year-old Justin Mitchell, was also hit and thrown off the bridge. Both Vaccaro and Mitchell died at the scene.
I think I was numb for a few days. I think it took a couple days to actually sink in that my son was still safe, but 2 men had died.
But Jeff's mother holds no grudge against the driver who caused the accident.
There are people who are very remorseful and realize their mistakes.
Marie Van Reenen says in an always connected world, people simply can't put down their phones.
Texting and driving. It's just become a habit to them, and that's just the way their life is right now.
You can't get a millennial to call you back. They do everything by text. And it's sort of an addiction, and when you get in the car, it doesn't stop.
Florida State Senator Thad Altman is an advocate for safer driving laws.
Texting, there's no reason whatsoever anyone should be texting anytime while driving a vehicle.
According to the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, in 2014, more than 3,000 people were killed in the U.S., and more than 430,000 were hurt in crashes involving distracted drivers. At any given moment during daylight hours, the NHTSA estimates about 660,000 people are driving and using their phones.
Texting is the very worst form of distraction because you're literally taking your eye off the road to read a text or to type a text.
Jeff Van Reenen believes the simplest solution is to just put your phone away.
Wait till you get to where you're going, because chances are you're going to be at your location within a half an hour anyway. It killed 2 people, almost killed me. That or pull over.
And his mom's advice?
Stop. You could kill someone and ruin your life at the same time.
To students from Southwest Middle School,
have a good weekend.
This
Thank you.
is Joanne Howell's turf at the intersection of Malabar Road and Eldron Boulevard in Palm Bay.
You're gonna have to hurry.
Joanne has worked as a crossing guard for the last 2 years.
You're safe, honey.
But like many others in this community,
People are texting and driving and texting and driving.
Joanne is worried.
And it's worse and worse and worse every year.
Did you see Joanne just point to a car? She did it 3 times for News 6 in less than 15 seconds. Joanne was pointing out different drivers looking at their phones while speeding along this busy stretch of road, right through the intersection used by her kids.
I believe texting and driving is just as dangerous and in some cases more dangerous than a DUI.
Palm Bay Police Chief Mark Rankin says texting from behind the wheel distracts drivers from their primary task, safely driving a car.
You shouldn't be texting at all when you're driving, period, whether you're in a school zone or not.
Howell thinks the fault with Florida's nonchalant attitude toward texting and driving lies squarely on the shoulders of state politicians. As a secondary offense, cops can't pull you over unless they see you breaking another law.
It's a very bad situation. It's one that's going to continue to get worse unless lawmakers crack down and say, yeah, okay, I'm mad as heck and I'm not going to take it anymore and we need to put a stop to this.
My bill would have made it a primary offense if you're texting and driving to protect the life and protect the safety of our children.
In both 2015 and 2016, State Senator Geraldine Thompson had school zone texting bills die in committee, never reaching the House floor for a vote.
So many times bills do not come out of committee. Many times they're not even placed on the agenda because you have a group of individuals from various places, could be business, that are opposed to it and convince the chair not to put it on the agenda.
Texting and driving needs to be a primary offense with a big ticket to it, a big dollar fee attached to it. And maybe even community service along with it. Too many people have been maimed and mutilated and killed. It's not worth it.
I lost my mother to an automobile accident. She was killed by a 19-year-old who lost control of his vehicle while trying to get a hold of his phone out of the floorboard.
1 year ago, Marcia Waldron's mom, 76-year-old Martha Jackson, died in Polk County while driving back to Avon Park.
There's a certain amount of time it takes her to get to my grandmother's house, and she normally calls us when she gets here and starts unloading.
Martha Jackson's Toyota Corolla was hit head-on by a Ford F-250 driven by this man, Daniel Lightsey. According to the Florida Highway Patrol, Lightsey said he had dropped his cell phone and while reaching for it, lost control of the huge pickup.
He spun back through the northbound lane, going through the median, ending up in the southbound lane, landing on top of my mother's car.
This is the aftermath of that accident. 1 person dead, 2 vehicles mangled, with the Corolla unrecognizable. The airbags and safety equipment of the 2,800-pound Toyota was no match for the 6,000-pound 4x4.
To me, there was no difference in causing a death from reaching in the floorboard for your phone versus a DUI.
For Marcia and her sister, the pain of their loss was further intensified when during sentencing, the judge failed to notice Lightsey was responsible for their mother's death. Lightsey, who was only charged with careless driving, was given a $164 fine.
My sister sent letters to the judge and the clerk of the court who did that hearing, and both of which said they had no idea. But all over the police officer's accident report had with a death involved, with the death of my mother.
When the judge resentenced Lightsey, the final outcome still didn't seem very fair to the family. Lightsy's license was suspended for 6 months. He was fined an additional $1,000 and was ordered to perform 120 hours of community service in a trauma center.
He still has a life. And my mother lost hers at 76. And as my grandmother gets ready to turn 101, we have a little longevity in our family. And he took that away from her.